Welcome to Healthy Aging Blueprint, your trusted space for simple, effective tips to help seniors live healthier, happier, and more meaningful lives. Whether you're stepping into retirement or supporting a parent or grandparent on their wellness journey, this channel is for you. Together, we'll explore real-life experiences, healthy daily habits, and a positive mindset to help you wake up each day with energy, joy, and purpose. Have you ever felt the silence grow louder with age? Have you noticed that the world keeps moving, faster, while you're no longer sure where you fit in? And what if the most isolating parts of getting older aren't physical changes, but the quiet losses no one talks about? Most people don't ask what life after 80 really feels like. Not the polished, picture-perfect version we see in commercials, but the raw, unspoken truth. It's a chapter of life where the noise around you slowly fades, where familiar connections begin to drift, and where your own body may feel unfamiliar. The world you once moved through with confidence now seems more distant. Friends move on, routines change, and suddenly, the pace of life no longer matches your own. Yet within this new reality lies a quiet strength. Even in the face of fading voices and shifting roles, there's an opportunity, a chance to redefine your purpose and reclaim your place with clarity, grace, and resilience. In this video, we'll uncover 5 eye-opening truths every senior must know about aging and loneliness. These truths may be difficult to hear, but they're essential if you want to face this phase of life with deeper understanding, courage, and emotional clarity. Because it's only when we acknowledge what hurts that we can begin to heal. Stay with me until the end. You'll learn not only what these truths are, but how to transform them into a foundation for connection, growth, and new meaning. Your story isn't finished yet. In fact, some of its most powerful chapters may still be waiting to be written. Before we begin, if you find value in this video, I'd deeply appreciate it if you give it a like. Your support helps me continue sharing honest, empowering content about aging that often goes unspoken. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button, and be sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're watching with me now, let me know in the comments. Type the number 1 if this resonates with you. If not, type 0 so I know how to improve and serve you better. Let's begin. 1. Your social circle vanishes without warning. Picture waking up one morning to a silence that feels unfamiliar. Not the gentle quiet of a peaceful sunrise, but the hollow stillness that comes when voices, laughter, and routine companionship disappear. The phone that once buzzed with messages, invitations, or cheerful calls from friends now rests still, gathering dust on the counter. Friends, those you shared holidays, dinners, and decades with, begin to pass away. Their absence leaves spaces in your life that no one else seems to step into. The neighbor who always waved from across the street has moved. The group that used to meet every Thursday for cards has slowly dwindled. This isn't just loneliness. It's a shift in identity, a feeling that your place in the social world is quietly being erased. And unless we name this feeling, confront it, and learn how to respond to it, the isolation can deepen in ways that affect not just your mood, but your physical and cognitive health too. Some move away, chasing warmer weather or transitioning to assisted living. Even family, swept up in the pace of their own busy lives, begins to visit less often. Phone calls become shorter, more routine, and less heartfelt. It's not that people stop caring. It's that time, like a slow-moving tide, begins to wear away at the closeness that once felt so permanent. The connections you once assumed would always be there begin to fade, leaving behind a silence that's deeper than you ever imagined. Take Walter, for example. He's 84 now, a retired school teacher from a quiet Ohio town. Not long ago, he was the life of the local coffee shop, the kind of man who could light up a room with just a laugh or a story. Every Saturday, he'd sit at the center of a lively table, swapping tales about fishing trips and grandkids' latest adventures. It was a ritual that gave rhythm and warmth to his weekends. But over the years, that once crowded table began to thin out. One friend passed suddenly from a heart attack. Another moved away to be closer to family in Florida. Others, no longer able to drive or brave icy sidewalks, simply stopped coming. The stories stopped, the laughter faded, and suddenly Walter found himself alone in the corner booth. "It's strange," he told me one afternoon, his voice soft but steady. "To be the man in the corner booth, when you used to be the heart of the table." Loneliness doesn't always arrive with loud alarms. It slips in quietly, unnoticed at first. It's in the long, silent evenings when the television becomes your only company. It's in that hollow feeling when you realize no one has called just to talk in weeks. It settles in your chest like a quiet weight, hard to name, but impossible to ignore. Even simple moments, morning coffee, folding laundry, walking down the hall, start to feel heavier than they used to. This kind of disconnection can feel almost like a betrayal, not necessarily by others, but by life itself. You spend decades building a rich, textured social life, woven together through shared meals, spontaneous visits, laughter-filled conversations, and yet somehow, that tapestry begins to unravel. The isolation can be disorienting. It can make even the most grounded person feel lost, and the consequences go beyond emotion. Research shows that loneliness in older adults isn't just unpleasant, it's dangerous. It's strongly linked to higher risks of depression, cognitive decline, and physical health conditions like heart disease. The body feels the absence of connection just as deeply as the mind. But here's the truth. While the reasons for isolation are complex, the path forward doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional. Making new connections after 80 isn't easy. Health limitations, transportation challenges, and the emotional resistance to starting over can make the idea feel overwhelming. But the smallest step toward connection can begin to shift everything. Don't wait for connection to knock at your door. Seek it, gently, but consistently. Join a local senior center where you might stumble upon a knitting group, a chess circle, or a room full of people who share your love of old jazz records. If you're more at home with books, start a reading club at your local library. Invite a few neighbors or acquaintances. You never know who's also hoping someone will reach out. Invite a neighbor or acquaintance to meet over coffee and chat about a favorite novel. Reach out to an old friend with a handwritten letter or a thoughtful email. Sometimes a single shared memory is enough to reignite connection. Technology can also be a powerful ally. Learning to use video calls may feel intimidating at first, but being able to see your grandchildren's smiles or hear their voices in real time can restore a sense of closeness that words alone can't offer. Online communities are another lifeline. Forums centered around gardening, history, music, or old films are full of people looking for the same thing you are: connection. If leaving the house is difficult, ask a neighbor, caregiver, or family member for help getting to a nearby event. Even a short visit to a community center or a senior group gathering can change the shape of a day. In this stage of life, courage doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple and as brave as choosing not to surrender to silence. Each small attempt to reach out, each hesitant step toward connection, is a quiet triumph over isolation. Every voice you invite into your world matters, even if it's new, even if it's unfamiliar. And sometimes, the unfamiliar is exactly what breathes new life into your routine. Your body betrays you overnight. That's how many people describe it. After 80, your body starts to feel like an unpredictable companion, no longer the familiar partner that once carried you effortlessly through daily routines. These changes don't always arrive gradually. Instead, they can feel sudden, disorienting, and deeply frustrating. One day, a walk to the mailbox feels normal. The next, it leaves you winded, your legs trembling. A small misstep, maybe just a quick stumble off a curb, can rob you of weeks, even months, of strength and mobility. A cough that once would have been shrugged off suddenly requires a string of doctor visits and a cascade of tests. Each result serves as a subtle but painful reminder that your body is no longer playing by the rules it once followed. And that's often the hardest part, not the decline itself, but its unpredictability. You may eat well, follow every doctor's recommendation, take your vitamins, stretch every morning, and walk each afternoon, and still, one day, you wake up and something has shifted. You feel slower, weaker, as if your body has changed course overnight without warning or permission. Take Gloria, 81, a lifelong gardener from Vermont. Her backyard had always been her sanctuary. For decades, she spent her days pruning roses, nurturing tomato vines, and planting tulips in neat rows, watching them bloom each spring like little promises fulfilled. One crisp autumn afternoon, while tending to her roses, she lost her balance and fell. It wasn't a dramatic fall, no broken bones, no ambulance, but it was enough to bruise her hip and shake her confidence. It wasn't the fall that hurt the most, she told me, her eyes soft and distant. It was the moment I realized, my body doesn't bounce back anymore. Recovery, once a matter of days, stretched into months. Climbing stairs became a careful negotiation. Her beloved garden, once a source of calm and joy, now felt like a distant memory of who she used to be. The physical pain faded, but the emotional toll, the quiet realization that her body now required a new kind of patience, lingered far longer.
For many over 80, this is the unspoken truth. Your body doesn't just age. It rewrites the rules, and every day becomes an exercise in learning how to adapt, with grace, with courage, and sometimes with grief. There comes a point when rest, once a source of recovery, starts to feel like a trap. It's as if every moment you spend sitting still inches you further into decline. Even the smallest injuries, ones that once meant a few days of ice and rest, now come with consequences that linger for weeks or months. The physical challenges start to pile up, but they're not just about the body anymore. They touch something deeper, your identity. You find yourself grieving the version of you who could climb a ladder without hesitation, clean out the gutters on a Saturday afternoon, or dance the night away at a wedding. Now, even reaching overhead or standing for too long can leave you breathless. These changes can be humbling. They can feel like slow reminders that your body is no longer built for the same rhythm of life it once sustained. Chronic conditions, like arthritis, heart disease, or vision loss, are incredibly common. According to the CDC, more than 60% of adults over 80 deal with at least one of these challenges. But it's not just the diagnosis, it's the ripple effect they cause. Buttoning a shirt with stiff fingers, reading the fine print on a pill bottle, or lifting a bag of groceries can suddenly feel like monumental tasks. And yet, doing nothing is not an option. Because the alternative, giving in to immobility, carries even greater risks. Reduced activity leads to muscle loss. Muscle loss contributes to frailty, and frailty makes it harder to recover from even small setbacks. It's a cycle that can spin downward quickly if we don't interrupt it with conscious, compassionate action. So what can you do? The answer starts with perspective. Treat your body not as an enemy, but as an aging companion, one that still deserves patience, attention, and care. Move with intention, not urgency. A short walk around the block, some gentle chair yoga, or stretching exercises in the morning can make a real difference. They help maintain mobility without draining your energy. For more support, consider seeing a physical therapist. They can create a personalized movement plan to help strengthen your core and improve your balance, both of which are essential for preserving independence. These may seem like small efforts, but over time, they add up. The reward? Greater freedom and confidence in your daily life. Nutrition, too, becomes more important than ever. Focus on eating foods rich in protein to maintain muscle, and don't forget to stay hydrated. It's crucial for energy, focus, and organ function. When pain or fatigue starts to feel isolating, don't underestimate the power of small comforts. A warm cup of tea, a few deep breaths, a quiet moment of mindfulness. These are the things that can soothe both body and spirit. And above all, honor your limits. Stop seeing adaptation as defeat. Using a cane, scheduling rest breaks, or asking for help with tasks that feel too heavy. These aren't signs of weakness. They're strategies. Thoughtful, intelligent ways of preserving your energy for the moments that matter most. If you're still here with me and finding this video helpful, please type the number 2 in the comments. It lets me know you're still on this journey with me, and I'm grateful for your time. Often it happens without warning. One day you're reaching for something on the top shelf, and you pause. Not because you can't do it, but because you're suddenly unsure if you should. You find yourself gripping the stair railing a little tighter, second-guessing whether to drive at night or in bad weather. Tasks that once defined your competence now ask more of you. And needing help, asking for it, can feel like a quiet surrender of the independence you've worked a lifetime to protect. But it's rarely just about the task itself. It's about what that task represents. Cooking your own meals, shoveling your driveway, fixing something around the house. Those were once everyday things. Now they're markers of your self-reliance, your identity. Letting someone else take over even part of that can feel like letting go of who you are. Eugene, 85, knows that feeling all too well. A retired carpenter from a busy Chicago suburb, he spent decades building everything from tool sheds to family traditions. He raised 4 children, and there was pride in doing things with his own 2 hands. That sense of strength was a badge of honor.
One winter, he slipped on a patch of ice outside his garage. It wasn't a catastrophic fall, but it hurt more than he expected. Still, Eugene said nothing. He limped through his days, brushing off the pain, pretending nothing had changed. But the truth lingered. Everyday chores, like hauling laundry or clearing snow, became a gamble. He didn't want to admit it, not even to himself. His daughter noticed. She saw the change in his gait, the way he moved more slowly, cautiously. Quietly, she started dropping off groceries each week. At first, Eugene resisted, insisting he could still manage. But slowly, those visits turned into something more than errands. They became time to connect, to talk, to laugh. "It's nice," he said one evening, a small smile breaking through. "Not carrying it all by myself." There's something profoundly humbling about that shift. For those who've always been the helpers, becoming the one who needs help can feel like failure. Society tends to glorify independence, telling us that self-sufficiency equals strength, and dependence is something to be ashamed of. But the truth is far more human. The risks of refusing help are real. According to the National Institute on Aging, falls are one of the leading causes of serious injury for people over 80. Nearly 30% of older adults report difficulty performing daily activities. Ignoring these changes, out of pride or fear, doesn't just put your body at risk. It also builds walls around your relationships. Pride can isolate you, cutting you off from the very support that could enrich your life. Accepting help, on the other hand, takes a different kind of strength. It's not about giving up. It's about making smart, conscious choices that allow you to live on your own terms. It's about having the courage to admit, I can still lead my life, but I don't have to carry every piece of it alone. What can you do? Start by redefining what independence means. It doesn't have to mean doing everything by yourself. It can mean knowing when to ask for what you need, and having the wisdom to receive it. Begin with small changes. Install grab bars in the bathroom, or place a seat in the shower to make your routine safer. Ask a neighbor to grab a few items from the store, or let a family member help carry heavy groceries. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you still value your safety, your dignity, and your continued ability to live fully. Offering a ride to a doctor's appointment, bringing over a warm meal, fixing a leaky faucet. These aren't signs of weakness. They're lifelines, tools that help you conserve your energy and protect your safety. Yet, for many, accepting them feels like crossing a line they swore never to step over. But what if asking for help wasn't a burden, but a bridge? There are community resources all around, meals delivered to your doorstep, volunteers who will happily drive you to an appointment or help with a home repair. These aren't signs that you've lost control. They're quiet, steady reminders that you're not alone. And if pride feels like a barrier too big to overcome, try looking at it another way. Think of accepting help as an act of trust, something you give, not something taken from you. Your willingness to lean on others can deepen your relationships in unexpected ways. It says, I still matter enough for someone to care. And in return, they feel valued too. Connection, even in the form of a ride or a shared chore, becomes a powerful safety net, one that holds you in place with dignity and grace. But what happens when the world around you no longer seems to notice that you're there? There's a different kind of pain that settles deep, one that no medicine can relieve. It's the quiet ache that comes from feeling invisible, not because you've gone anywhere, but because the world seems to have stopped seeing you. It's not just the stiffness in your knees or the heaviness in your limbs. It's the way the cashier at the store breezes past you, eyes darting toward the next customer. It's the doctor, turning to your adult child instead of you, as if your voice has lost its authority. It's strangers glancing past you on the sidewalk, never really seeing the history held in your eyes. It's a strange, silent erasure, and it doesn't come from cruelty. It often comes from a world obsessed with youth, speed, and shiny newness. A culture that moves so fast, it forgets the depth and beauty of lives already lived. Irene, 86, knew this feeling all too well. For years, she had volunteered at the local history museum. She wasn't just a docent. She was a living archive. Her tours weren't memorized scripts, but heartfelt retellings drawn from memory. She'd describe ration books during the Great Depression, share what it was like to sew patches onto threadbare coats, and talk about the long, anxious days spent waiting for letters from her brother serving overseas. When she spoke, time slowed. Visitors leaned in, captivated, not by flashy presentations, but by her lived experience. Her presence was a gift. But as time passed, fewer people lingered, fewer listened. Eventually, even the museum began assigning younger volunteers to the weekend tours, assuming Irene needed the break. She didn't need rest. She needed to be seen. Her life was woven into the artifacts on display. Every detail she explained came from a place of memory, not textbooks. But one afternoon, during a routine tour, a visitor asked a question about the wartime exhibit. Instead of addressing Irene, the guest turned to a younger staff member nearby, a college student barely out of their teens, someone who hadn't even been born when the events in question had shaped Irene's world. Irene stood there in silence, her hands gently clasped, the answer ready on her lips, but never called for. Her decades of lived experience were bypassed in a moment so quick it could have been missed. Later, over coffee with a friend, she spoke of it in a calm voice. "I'm used to it," she said. But her eyes, slightly glassy, just a little too still, revealed the quiet ache of being unseen. That moment wasn't just a dismissal. It was a painful echo of what so many feel as they age, being quietly erased from the room they're still very much standing in. This kind of invisibility doesn't arrive like thunder. It seeps in slowly, through 1,000 little moments. It's the waiter who reads the specials only to the younger guest at the table. It's the neighbor who stops extending invitations because they assume you're too tired to attend. It's the family gathering where everyone talks around you, not to you, as if your opinions have expired. Each of these moments, on their own, may seem minor, but together, They wear away at the vibrant identity you've built over a lifetime. You're not just a person who lived through history. You are the history. You are the one who raised children, navigated careers, loved deeply, endured loss, and adapted to change. Yet being overlooked can make you question your own value, as if somehow, with each passing year, you fade a little more from view. But that's not the truth. Not even close. Your presence is powerful. Your life is an archive of experience, resilience, laughter, and insight. You are not invisible. You are irreplaceable. No one else holds your stories, your wisdom, your voice. So what can you do? Don't let the world's blindness define you. Reclaim your space. Your stories matter, whether whispered to a grandchild at bedtime or spoken aloud at a local senior center. Start that memoir, even if only a few pages at a time. Volunteer to speak at events or write a letter to your local paper. Share your experiences, because they are not just personal reflections. They're living bridges between generations, filled with lessons that only you can teach. And sometimes, all it takes to be seen again is one brave moment of sharing what only you have lived. Challenge assumptions, gently but directly. Speak to the doctor yourself. Make eye contact. Ask questions. Share your concerns. Correct the cashier with kindness when they speak to the person beside you as if you're not there. Start a conversation with someone while waiting in line at the coffee shop. Let your presence be felt. Your words, your voice, your choices still matter. Vote in every local and national election. Write letters to your community paper. Join a book club, even virtually, and show that your insights still shape meaningful dialogue. If mobility or fatigue makes these bigger efforts hard, remember that small gestures carry deep impact. A warm smile to someone passing on the sidewalk, a thoughtful phone call to a distant friend, or a handwritten letter to a family member. Each of these quietly reminds the world that you are here, that you matter. These ripples, though subtle, push against the current of invisibility. Seek out places where your worth is not questioned, but honored. That could mean a local senior center, a place of worship, or even an online group where your voice is not just heard, but appreciated. And in social gatherings, if you feel dismissed or overlooked, bring yourself back into the circle with grace. A simple phrase like, "I'd love to share my thoughts on that," spoken with calm confidence, can gently reset the tone and earn back your space. Affirm yourself often. Reflect on the small and large triumphs that shaped your life. The garden you nurtured, the child you raised, the neighbor you helped without hesitation. Even if your knees tremble or your voice isn't as strong as it once was, speak anyway. That act of courage sends out a message stronger than words alone. You are here. You are still living a story worth telling. Your life is a beautiful tapestry, woven from years of joy, loss, resilience, and quiet strength. You deserve to be seen, not for who you once were, but for who you are today. Insist on being noticed, not from vanity or pride, but because the wisdom you've gained is exactly what the world so often lacks. Don't withhold it. If you're still watching and finding value in these reflections, please comment 3 below. Your time, your attention, and your presence mean everything. Regret has a way of slipping in when life slows down. In your 80s, the pace of life softens. Days grow quieter. There's more space to think, more silence between the noise. This calm can feel like a gift. Time to rest, to reflect, to simply be. But it also creates room for a quieter ache to rise, one that whispers during sleepless nights or idle afternoons. Regret. The what-ifs appear without invitation. What if you had taken that bold job opportunity across the country? What if you'd seen the world like you always dreamed of? What if you'd made one more phone call, said, "I love you," just one more time to the person who is no longer here? Without a clear sense of purpose to guide you, regrets can begin to feel heavier, casting long, persistent shadows over your present. What once felt like freedom, an open calendar, unstructured days, can suddenly seem like an empty canvas you're no longer sure how to fill. The silence stretches, the weight of missed opportunities, of words left unsaid or dreams deferred, begins to press down harder. It's easy to feel like the best days, or your chance to make things right, are already behind you. Stanley, age 88, knew this feeling all too well. For decades, he had been a respected high school teacher, shaping minds and futures in the rhythm of chalkboards and spirited debates. His purpose was clear: to teach, to challenge, to uplift. His classroom was not just a workplace, it was his stage, his sanctuary. But when retirement arrived, the daily structure that had once grounded him disappeared, and with it, the feeling of being needed. "No one calls on me anymore," he admitted quietly to a friend one afternoon over coffee. His words were laced with resignation, not bitterness, just a quiet recognition that something vital had slipped away. In the stillness of his new routine, old questions began to echo louder. Should he have pursued that novel he once dreamed of writing? Should he have traveled to Italy with his wife before her illness? Should he have spent more unhurried moments with his children when they were young and always close? These reflections grew heavier with time, threatening to anchor him in the past. But then, something unexpected began to shift. His great-grandchildren started visiting more often, their curious questions breaking through his solitude like sunlight through an old curtain. One evening, as they gathered around the dinner table, Stanley began to speak, at first hesitantly, then with growing warmth and clarity. He told them stories of sneaking into smoky jazz clubs in the 1950s, of teaching during the charged days of the civil rights movement, of the moment he met his wife in a crowded dance hall and somehow just knew she was the one. The children sat wide-eyed, completely engrossed. "What was it like to live without computers?" they asked. "Were you ever afraid back then?" And in their listening, something beautiful awakened in Stanley. In that moment, he realized he wasn't simply a man whose working days were behind him. He was something more. He was living history. He had become a bridge between generations, a storyteller with a voice that still mattered. He had become a bridge to history, a storyteller whose voice rooted his family in something deeper, something timeless. His purpose hadn't disappeared. It had simply evolved. The regrets, though still present, lost their sting. They were softened by the joy he felt watching his words ignite wonder in his great-grandchildren. In that warmth, he found meaning again. Purpose, especially later in life, doesn't have to resemble the ambition of your youth or the output of your career years. It doesn't demand grand goals, constant movement, or a packed schedule. It can be quiet, gentle, and deeply personal. Instead of chasing accolades or crossing off items from a bucket list, purpose in this chapter is more about presence, being fully here, with intention and heart. Sometimes, it's found in the simplest gestures. A retired librarian spends an hour each week reading aloud to local children. A former mechanic takes a neighbor's son under his wing, showing him how to fix an old bicycle. These small contributions may not make headlines, but they can change lives. They ripple outward, creating meaning not just for others, but for the giver, too. Margaret, now 82, felt lost after her husband passed. The grief left a hollow space, and with it came the regret. She had always loved painting, but had never pursued it seriously. Life had moved quickly, kids to raise, meals to cook, bills to pay. Her paints gathered dust, but instead of dwelling in that sorrow, she took a step forward. She joined an art class at the local senior center. At first, she was nervous, unsure if her skills would still be there. But with each brushstroke, her confidence grew. Eventually, she began teaching others in the class, helping them mix color, shape light, and express their inner landscapes. Her art, mostly soft portraits and scenes from memory, became cherished gifts for her grandchildren. Each painting held not only color and detail, but stories, love, and a legacy that would live far beyond her lifetime. What you can do is redefine purpose for yourself, not as pressure to achieve, but as a way to connect, contribute, and simply be. Let go of the idea that purpose must be grand. Ask yourself, what brings me joy, even for a moment? What can I offer? Kindness, attention, memory that leaves a mark on someone's day? Your presence alone has the power to make a difference. If storytelling resonates with you, your life has already given you 1,000 stories to share, and each one matters. Share your experiences. They are not just memories, they are maps for the generations behind you. Record them for your family, or contribute to a local oral history project. If you're comfortable with technology, start a simple blog or voice journal to document the insights life has given you. You might be surprised by how powerful your words can be to others walking a few steps behind you. If giving back brings you joy, find volunteer opportunities that align with your energy and strengths. Read stories to children at your local library. Offer a few hours of your week to a food bank. Maybe lend your skills or life knowledge to a community organization that could benefit from your wisdom. Every small contribution matters. And if you face mobility challenges, don't underestimate the impact of kindness from home. A heartfelt letter, a phone call to someone who's been feeling isolated, or passing down a cherished family recipe can mean more than you realize. These quiet acts often ripple outward in the most unexpected ways. Creative expression can also help you make peace with your past. Journaling, for instance, is not just a tool for reflection. It's a powerful way to turn regret into clarity. Rather than focusing on what's lost, celebrate what you've endured, what you've learned, and what you still have to offer. Consider writing a letter to your younger self. Offer forgiveness for past decisions and honor the resilience that carried you through. Build new connections. Whether it's a senior center, an online discussion group, or a religious gathering, being around others who understand your journey can rekindle a sense of belonging. And if the weight of regret feels too heavy at times, don't hesitate to open up to a counselor, a loved one, or a trusted friend. Sometimes, just being heard can reframe the entire story. Every small gesture, a kind word, a memory shared, a listening ear, is a spark, and each spark helps to lift the shadow of regret, replacing it with light, meaning, and connection. Your life hasn't paused. It's still being written, one choice at a time, and each choice has the power to shape a richer, more meaningful chapter. As we bring this journey to a close, take a moment to reflect. Life after 80 isn't just about losses. It's also about choosing to face those challenges with courage, to build new relationships, and to redefine purpose in a way that's deeply personal. Your story is still unfolding, and every new day is an opportunity to shape it with intention. What resonated most with you today? Was it the quiet ache of fewer social connections, the humbling strength it takes to ask for help, or the surprising peace that comes from finding new meaning? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're embracing this chapter of your life. If you found value in this video, please leave a comment, give it a like, and share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to Healthy Aging Blueprint for more thoughtful content to support and empower your journey. Wishing you continued health, happiness, and peace. And we'll see you in the next video.